Welcome to our first in our American University School of Communication LA Virtual Experience Notable Alumni Series. I'm Sarah Menke-Fish, Assistant Dean of Experiential Learning, and our guest today is Jeff Della Serra. Jeff is an account executive with BLT Communications. Jeff graduated from AU with a degree in Film and Media Arts in 2013 after completing a semester in the Prague program. And he reminded me today that he actually couldn't attend his own graduation because he was still abroad. And I guess I sent him little video messages and had him turn his tassel when it came time to actually be able to turn his tassel. Originally from New Jersey, he moved to Los Angeles shortly after graduation to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. After initial experiences of freelance editing and working at a commercial talent agency, Jeff joined a creative advertising agency in early 2015. Now, with 5 years of experience in the theatrical and digital streaming advertising field, Jeff currently holds a role as an account executive at BLT Communications, specializing in print, digital, social, and AV creative marketing campaigns. His current and past clients include Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney, Marvel, Paramount, HBO, AMC, HGTV, and many, many more. A lot of times students are thinking, hey, should I get my job before I go to LA? Or should I wait and get to LA and get my job? And so what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I have a lot of friends who did have jobs before they moved out here. And I think if you can do that, if you can line something up, then by all means, that takes a lot of pressure off of you once you're on the ground here. It's a really tricky thing to do because of that sort of summer gap and having graduated. I found that a lot of like internship programs were off the table for me. I waited until I moved in October, and I was finding that I was like just outside of a lot of like Disney or Paramount. They have a lot of the smaller studios have internship programs that even being a graduate you can still get into, but I was like just outside of that window. And I didn't know anybody, and I had applied for a lot of jobs during the whole search for apartments. I was applying for jobs as well, and oh God, I don't know if I heard back from anybody at all, which was very frustrating. I probably put out like 200 to 300 applications in a like 3-4 month window, and I don't remember hearing back from anybody. There may have been one or two where I had a little bit of a connection and I at least got a confirmation that they received my application, but I really didn't hear back from anyone. So I was getting a little frustrated with that. So to me, I was pretty committed to moving out here. Finding I was having so much trouble getting an apartment, getting a job, just anything. I was like, you know what, I'll take the leads I can get and take some baby steps. So it was get my feet on the ground. And then I felt that to be able to put a Los Angeles address on my resume was at least a little bit of something for me. So I figured get my feet out here and then work on the job.
Tell us about that first job. I know you were doing some freelancing, but you got into a talent agency.
Yeah, I think I freelanced for you, Sarah. I'm pretty sure I was doing some new intro reels for DWC. And I had maybe like one or two very small editing gigs that didn't really pay enough to cover a quarter of my rent, but it was something to add to my reel. And I was out here for about 4 months without a job, which luckily at the time my rent, where I was living, the rent was pretty low too. So that was a calculated move. And I was out here for about 4 months, and I had met a friend who had an aunt who was in like HR and like high level job placement. So not terribly relevant to my situation, but talking to this woman, her advice for me was pull on your network. And I said, I don't have a network out here. I don't really know anybody. And she said, okay, well, you have a network, even if you don't know it. Who do you know back east that might know somebody else out in Los Angeles? Like, pull on whatever strings and connections you can to connect yourself to somebody out there.
And now tell us how you're at BLT and the kind of work, and give us some examples of the things you're doing.
So what we do is we design a lot of the media gets categorized into print or digital or social or AV, but a lot of it all is, we kind of lump it all under the term of key art, meaning the main branding or image that you're going to have for a show or a movie or whatever it is. So we, as a creative agency, are the ones who concept and build that artwork. The first thing I'll show you is a creative brief that the client would send to us. So this has all of the information that they want us to know before we begin any work. So this is for a new show that just came out on Netflix. We ultimately didn't end up getting the final piece of artwork for this show, but we did a decent amount of work on it, so figured it would be fun to share. So this is for a show called Outer Banks. So this is something that Netflix actually, they emailed me, someone that I know at Netflix emailed and said, hey, Jeff, we've got this project. It's a super crazy turnaround time. We want to give you a rundown of everything that we need for this, and we're going to need you to turn around a piece of key art for us, so like a main look. So for any movie or any show, it's very important, obviously, to know the story. So sometimes they'll give us a quick synopsis of what the show is. A lot of times they'll give us, depending on what stage of production the show or movie's in, we'll get scripts for shows or movies like way in advance. Sometimes they'll have episodes cut, or they'll have an early cut of the film. So they'll give us the scoop on the story, because obviously you want to have some element of what this show or what this property really is reflected in the art, or that'll inspire most of the imagery that we have or use. We'll usually get comparable titles. So it's got like Goonies, it is very like Dawson's Creek kind of OC level, like everyone's just gorgeous and, that whole thing. So they'll throw these things out there just to give us an inspiration on the tone. Then they don't always give this to us. We have to kind of figure it out sometimes, but it's very helpful to know the name of the cast, who the actual talent is, what their roles are, some like key elements to each character. So they'll kind of walk us through all of that. And then they'll give us the sort of market research that like Netflix has already done. So they know who their audience is. Which is always good to keep in mind when you're designing like the tone of the art. So these are the themes. There's heightened drama. There is some action, mystery, adventure. It gets a little dark, but it focuses on their friendships. So all these themes are going to be relevant, because as we develop the art, and I'm, the flip side of this process, this is all stuff that, I'm dealing with, but the clients on the marketing teams at the studios have to sell this artwork up the chain on their side, and also to the filmmakers and the talent themselves. So they know that the filmmakers or the showrunners, this theme of friendship is critical to their show. So they want that reflected in the artwork. We can't just ignore that whole theme. So they walk us through all that. This is like a North Star for me to look at all of the creative that I'm reviewing, like, is there an element of this ride or die friendship? Is there a mystery or adventure, or some sort of like, is the location, the Outer Banks, it's the name of the show, but it's also a real life location, is that somehow reflected in the artwork? And they sent us some of their favorite shots. So that's the creative brief. That's what we have a presentation with them, and then we get all of that information. We've got to boil it down. I get to then take it and present it all to our creative teams, and then we put together a presentation.
What soft skills and or hard skills you think are critical to be successful as an account executive or in general?
I'd say the soft skills are really more important than the hard skills. There's obviously some jobs where you're needing more specific hard skills, such as editing or After Effects for motion graphics or something like that. But generally, I think from most of the people that I've talked to in various jobs out here who are starting out in the industry, the soft skills of being easy to work with, being adaptable, listening to the people around you and learning from them are really the most important things. Everyone's got a few jobs, right? No one's if you really want to succeed, you've probably got a few irons in the fire in different places, and you're learning from one place and applying it elsewhere. What can you do to be more efficient? A lot of the things in entry level positions, I think, are the sort of menial jobs that nobody wants to do, and that's why it's just the filing or the paperwork. You could just file them away and put them in alphabetical order, but take this opportunity to learn what you can from any of those situations. But it is tough. I've been in situations where I was editing or doing like motion graphics at night, which is like a pretty time consuming work to do, and then working a full-time job during the day. It's a challenge. I mean, it's a little bit of just keeping your mind on what the goal is, right? If my goal was looking to build my reel out, that's like a passion of mine. So keep staying focused on that when it's late and you're tired and you're working a second job. That's a motivator usually. One job is paying the bills, and another is getting you closer towards being able to do that, whatever that job is that your passion is. And then I think also managing expectations. There's always deadlines, but making sure that you actually build in enough time to know, or and communicating. I was communicating with the people I was freelancing for as well. I said, look, I do have a full-time job during the day, and I'm only going to be working on this at night. So your project that you want in a week, it's going to take me 2 weeks, and not to overpromise anything, because then you find yourself in a tough spot where you've basically burned a bridge because you missed somebody's deadline if they really needed it in a week. If it was wiser for them to go with somebody who could full-time get that done, that's their prerogative, but you can let them know you're passionate about it, you want to work on it. It's just gonna, the timeline is gonna be a little different for you.
Hi. So my question is, I'm an independent film director, but if I were, one day one of your big clients, for a big studio, what do you wish people like me in my side of our field knew, working with people like you in your side of the field?
To be more understanding of the the physical capabilities of what can be done, I think would be very helpful. That's usually what we're pulling our hair out around, is the unrealistic expectations of the magic of post-production, right? Like, there is a lot of magic that can be done, but there's a limitation too. New York entertainment, at least that I see in marketing, has been a lot more series and television. Getting your feet on the ground there, getting into the industry and getting that work experience, and then making that career network for you, right? Like, anybody you work with might have a connection or be working for a studio that has a location in Los Angeles as well. I think it's really about getting in to the industry first, and then kind of branching out from there, whether that's in your own city or, a lot of people are kind of like bi-coastal now too. There's a lot of travel between New York and LA when we are allowed to travel.
Fantastic. I want to thank you, Jeff, so much for kicking off our inaugural series of LA Virtual Experience. Next Monday at 3 p.m., Adam Goodman will be joining us for our next notable alum. Putting this series together is a team effort, and I wish to thank several people, including Nada Malouf for the concept and outreach to alumni for this series, Felicia Parks, SOC Career Center, Hannah Shows for the visual design, Olivia Hoogstraat for the alumni updated emails, Tia Millage and Brianna Williams for web promotion, Matt Selkelke for Zoom and logistics support, and our School of Communication Dean Laura DeNardis, who joined us at the beginning of this session, and the faculty and staff who champion innovation. We welcome your comments and suggestions for future guests and ways in which we can engage you even further virtually with American University and the School of Communication. I'm Sarah Menke-Fish. Please join us again next week.